switch it up here in game 2.
Meteos' early gank with that experience, Quint, that you mentioned, looked like maybe Phoenix1 was going to go crazy for a while, but nope. They weren't able to make anything else happen in the early game. They couldn't shut down the FlyQuest snowball machine. And now going into game number 2, it's Galio banned away by FlyQuest, and Phoenix1 has decided they've had just about enough of Moon's Rengar.
Yeah. We're not in spring anymore, but Moon is still very good on that pick.
Speaking of very good on the pick, Hai and Ryu both adept at LeBlanc. So taking that off the table from FlyQuest, very understandable. If either one of these teams banned LeBlanc away, you would totally understand exactly why. Ivern banned now away by Phoenix1.
Yeah, making sure they don't get any type of protect the turtle strategy going on, since they did ban the Rengar, trying to target Moon out a little bit more. Of course, I don't know if the Zac would have had to be banned. I think it's very first pickable. It's just a matter of Moon not wanting to play it, and you do not want to give Meteos this iteration of Zac.
No, absolutely. You don't want to give anybody this iteration of Zac. Stretching Strikes is stronger than pretty much most other basic abilities in League of Legends. That thing is an amazing ganking tool, so very, very normal to see that champion banned away. Zyra, the final ban from Phoenix1, keeping Lemon off of that as well. Very quick first lock-in from FlyQuest, grabbing Kennen.
Yeah, Balls has been very good on this pick as well, so it's kind of on Zig to have an answer for it. And as far as lane matchups go, there's not many things that are great into it. We see teams try and match it with top lane Gragas. It doesn't get poked out early because of the sustain, and then theoretically you make a lot of plays around the map later. And instead go with Thresh right away.
Some hovering Darius for a while, which is not a good pick into Kennen at all. And then you saw the switch over to the Gragas hover, so they might keep that one in the back of their minds as Zig ultimately locks in the Thresh there for Shady. That'll be the support this game. We have seen the rise of playmaking supports a lot recently. Dorian Shield, just like we heard Freakin' Azale talking about, kind of allows that support pool to broaden in bottom lane and show us some different team compositions. As Elise, there you go, Jat, not leaving it on the shelf this time. Meteos piling now.
Yeah, and comboing Thresh and Elise is very good. Basically, you land Death Sentence, that means you land a Cocoon, and vice versa, then you can get the Death Sentence. So it enhances the strength of those champions as far as making sure that one skill shot can kill. Love the pick there of Gragas. Moon has had some very good jungle Gragas games. It also denies the top lane Gragas from Phoenix1, so FlyQuest killing two birds with one stone with that pick.
Sometimes you like to grab a champion because you're good at it specifically. Sometimes you grab one just to keep it out of the other guy's hands, but when you can do both, man, that is just the dream. So FlyQuest very happy, like you said about that one, as Ashe will be picked up as the 80 carry for Wild Turtle.
Yeah, another pick that he had success with in the first game. You can see it right there on the screen with the pick order for game 1. Had some clutch arrows since Phoenix1 wasn't really respecting it with their summoner spell choices or their item choices, so they had no way out. And Phoenix1 just stacking on the utility if they lock in that Kalista.
Ooh, the Kalista Thresh, the theme bottom lane, only matched in theme by Xayah and Rakan. These two share a lot of similar skins. They're both really spooky. They're both going to be picked up for that bottom lane synergy. You can toss Thresh into the enemy team, throw a box up all over the place. Very hectic as we move into the second part of the bans here. Seeing what the teams want to address. Bot lane and jungle picked up by P1. Meanwhile, FlyQuest grabbing jungle, top lane, and 80 carry. So a little bit of difference between what's left.
Yeah, that can potentially lead to some targeted support bans from Phoenix1, already taking the Tahm Kench out of there. Speaking to the Thresh Kalista, it is something that Phoenix1 have done once so far this split. They tried it against Cloud9, did not go very well. It is a tremendously effective duo because you can kind of, especially once you hit level 6, save each other as long as they stay spread out. Kalista can either ultimate the Thresh out of a bad situation, or Thresh can lantern the Kalista out of a bad situation, so it's infuriating to try and gank that lane.
Absolutely.
If they are to actually apply pressure, which is what you really want to see out of Arrow and Shady, but something they have not been able to do so far in this split.
And you called it, Jet. Support bans from Phoenix1. Tahm Kench and Braum will be that second one, targeting those tanky supports that could be available to Lemon. Very protective, disengagey as well, the kinds that could try to keep Turtle safe on that Ashe, protect the back line.
And as we often see when there are mismatched role picks in the first phase, you see targeted bans at that role on the other side as well. Jace and Kled banned out, really hoping to put the player of the game from game 1 in Balls in an advantageous situation.
100%. You've also got to keep an eye on mid lane, because there is one mid lane ban so far this game. And are we actually okay? Well,
is he gonna go top?
I'm not really sure what this is.
What
Chad,
are you
that
doing?
was that was something. All right, Urgot locked in, P1. So you know what? We lost game 1. We got to win here. Pull out the cheese, cheddar jack, gorgonzola, cheddar. Get it in there.
It's been a really long time since we've seen Urgot in a competitive game, unless you count the meme team Delta Fox scrim they did against Echo Fox, where Keith played Urgot and still won bottom lane. That's about it as far as my recent memory. Top? You don't blind Urgot mid, surely.
No, no. Well, it's Orianna picked up for FlyQuest for the mid lane, Morgana, the support. So Black Shield to potentially block off some of that chain CC potential you were talking about earlier. Black Shield will also block the Urgot ulti. But this champion, nobody's played it yet because it's not really played.
Urgot is nowhere. I mean,
No.
I'm looking at...
I forgot he's in this game, if you want me to be completely frank with you.
I'm looking at Games of Legends right here. The last time we saw it played was Kikis in an EUCS spring game where he lost to a Fiora. He built Edge of Night and Muramana. That's all I got.
And went 0-3-0.
Yeah. So theoretically, the Urgot still has some weird stuff in his kit. You don't see him very often.
And it's Lucian mid.
And it's Lucian mid. I don't care about that. I care about the Urgot top lane. We've seen Lucian mid before. Okay. You get damage reduction just for hitting someone on the Urgot.
Right.
He is... Here's the struggle, though. He's less ranged than the Kennen. So technically, the Kennen can just kite him out like he could any other melee champion, and Urgot has no way of speeding towards him. He can get a slow if he lands his Acid Hunter, his E, on the target, and then maybe out-poke him in that lane, but Kennen has so much sustain if he goes Doran Shield and Call. Like, I have a hard time seeing this pick work, but clearly this has been a practice counter for Zig. They insta-locked it after the Kennen and Jace were banned into the Kennen.
Yeah, that wasn't even... You're right, there was no hesitation. They weren't thinking about Urgot. They weren't wondering, hey, do we really pull out this counter pick here? It was just instant. They knew what they wanted to do, and that's what they're doing going into game number 2. They better hope that they have done their homework on this one. Because you lose here, FlyQuest takes a series.
This is how you compete with COG TSM on the other stream, by the way. You throw Urgot in the top lane. Zig wants eyeballs on this game, clearly. If I'm watching 2 streams and I see an Urgot top lane, my eyes immediately shift focus to that game.
Exactly. Zig knows how to properly promote the stream and get people watching this second match between FlyQuest and Phoenix1. Phoenix1 dropping game number 1 to a FlyQuest team that was around even with them for the first 15 minutes, and after that just ran away with the game. Phoenix1 going to have to find a way to make sure that doesn't happen here. Remember, Meteos is on Elise, one of the top junglers right now, one of the top junglers for him as a player historically. So keep eyes on this guy to see if he can make some more plays than he did last game. Other than that Rek'Sai first blood. That was really cool, but the rest of it was downhill.
His Elise is very strong, likes going full AP with it and pick people off. There's going to be a lot of squishy targets on FlyQuest that he can do that with. They might be going at Zig right off the bat. Dark Binding! Zig, no!
Ball is there. Zig, they want to just try to force something here if they can. Yeah, I don't know if it's actually going to work. Nope. Can't quite get it.
If they would have sent more people up there, they would have been able to get the kill, but Zig gets out with no actual repercussions. Elimination got to get a few tribute stacks, I suppose, from Spelthy's Ed. That's about it.
Probably got, what, 30 gold from that, maybe? Let's see exactly how much he earned. Oh, 24. I was actually overestimating it.
Yeah,
unlucky.
You get 8 on rank 1 per tribute stack, or gold at least from the Spelthy's Edge line. So one thing about Urgot that I find charming is the ridiculous skill names. So, you know how the champion update team consistently goes around and like updates the old champions that don't really fit into the game for various regions?
Right.
League of Legends is a game that evolved really well over time and like consistently almost got more professional and better. Urgot has awful skill names. Like
terrible.
His passive is legitimately named Zon Touched Bolt Augmenter. And that clearly tells you that when you hit someone, their damage against you is reduced by 15%. Like, the names of the spells do not even speak to the results of the spells whatsoever.
Let's not forget hyperkinetic position reverser on the ulti, which is totally a real thing.
Yeah.
This champion is a play-by-play caster's nightmare because he never gets played, and then when he does, everybody expects you to actually know this stuff. It's like going to take a test that you never studied for.
I'm willing to bet he has more syllables than any other champion in the game in his skill names.
I'm not taking that bet because I think you're probably right.
Anyway, I'm fascinated by the pick.
Well, I'm going to want to see what it does as this goes on, because they're going to need some way to prevent Balls from having the performance that he had in the last game. He's on a champion in the Kennen that's able to have a good laning phase, be strong at split pushing. You've got team fight presence as well. I don't see Urgot matching those details.
Well, one thing he actually gets to do, which is odd to say against professional players, but you often don't know what he does when you're playing against him. Like, for instance, his ultimate increases in range as you rank it up. So it's really low at level 6. He almost like has to flash ult you. By the time he gets level 16, it's something crazy, like 900 or 1,000 range, and he will just swap you when you don't expect to be swappable, and you need to have a QSS if you want to prevent that from happening. So he does force item buys like that and could really like add to the pick potential in the late game, and it's not something people are very experienced against. You can't judge. It's really hard to judge the range of a spell when it changes throughout the game.
Yeah. And we were very critical of the lack of QSSs from Phoenix1 in the last game, but this game it might be FlyQuest that need to make sure they have a couple of them on lock. Then again, they also have Black Shield, so if you can manage to Black Shield somebody right at the same time hyperkinetic position reverser comes out,
good job,
you'll be fine. Problem is, it has no projectile. It's also instant. If he's in range and he clicks it on you, it's just casted. The debuff is on you. You're being swapped.
Looks like we have a pretty farm-heavy early game right now, unless Moon goes for the Gragas. So I want to do something fun.
Okay.
Are you willing to try and cast all of Urgot's spells by name for the rest of the game?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Acid Hunter is his Q.
Okay, Acid Hunter's not hard.
That's really easy.
I don't have to say the passive, do I?
No.
Okay.
Maybe if you want to. Zon Touch, Bolt Augmenter. Terror Capacitor is his W,
okay,
which is the shield, as well as the thing that makes his spells slow.
Okay.
E is actually the... Well, I thought it was Noxian Corrosive Charge. If you land that, you can land your Acid Hunters on him, and then Hyperkinetic Position Reverse you already have.
I'm going to do my best, but I wouldn't bet on me if I were you.
Good luck.
All right.
This is
I'm going to need it.
I don't have to do.
All right, that's what we're going to do. So taking a quick look across the rest of the map, like you said, everybody playing pretty farm heavy right now. Both junglers going to be finding each other here in the mid lane. Meteos repels onto a minion wave, sees Moon hanging around, and decides that it's probably not worth it just yet. High, very low mana. So not in any sort of a condition to take a full-on 2v2 here. Cocoon will expire before it reaches the range necessary. High walks away, no summoners burned.
Yeah, so still not much to do. He's got Ignite on the Orianna as well, because he's a little worried about the all-in potential of the Lucian. That's actually how we've seen that matchup swing in the past, is the Lucian just ignites the Orianna, ends up winning the trade. It's happened in the top lane, though. He's throwing the Acid Hunters down on him after marking him with his Noxian Corrosive Charge, so...
And he doesn't have enough mana for Terror Capacitor, so you gotta be careful. If you take too much damage in return, you're not gonna block it.
Yeah. It's nice, though, because he's got his Zon-Touch Bolt Augmenter onto Balls, so
that one's cheating.
Damage.
We talked about this. That was cheating. It's off limits. Balls pushing up here in this top side, though. And that's one thing. Urgot was always one of the champions. He was seen as cheese because his lane phase can be very annoying if he does hit the corrosive charges on you, and the Acid Hunters get to zoom in. It's really hard to deal with it because it's so long range away. But Balls is doing a great job just not having any issues with this matchup whatsoever.
Yeah, especially at this phase in the game. I mean, I imagine it's not something that's necessarily getting pushed in. Like, he can't actually win the trades if Balls is trying to all-in him. So far, I actually say this pick is working out. Kennen bullies most picks early on in the game, so Zig sticking in it there. Now that he's level 6, the gank threat has to be very respected, so maybe Meteos is going to be going up there. I'd be surprised if we don't see him make that visit, because it is almost one of those strategies you better have a plan around, you better be willing to support it.
Another fun fact about Urgot for you guys, his Q is actually one of the only abilities in the game that does less damage than his auto attack at level 1. So if you're dueling an Urgot at level 1, don't flash away from the Q, flash out of his auto attack range in between the animations. It's going to do a lot more damage. Ryu, speaking of doing some damage, going to be Shockwave and Ignited. High turns this fight around, but the culling comes out. Ryu still looking to maybe fight it as Meteos comes in. Flash away from Ryu to keep him alive. Elimination shows up, fires off a binding, doesn't find the mark. Very close for both mids. Yeah, everyone flashing at pretty much the same time there. Meteos trying to turn it with the flash Cocoon, but is unable to do so. Both those guys had just come back from base with their buys as well. Triple Longsword versus double Dorans. It's going to be tricky trying to out-sustain. Neither one of these guys have great sustain tools as of yet. Right, once the damage comes out, it's just going to stick, and you've got to really respect how much both of them can do. You saw the full combo potential in that duel between them as they popped every summoner spell in the book. The thing that I'm looking at right now, too, ults online for the solo lanes, almost online for the junglers. Of course, that doesn't really factor in too much for Meteos. Bottom lane ultimates will also be coming online before too much longer, and that means Turtle's arrows that you mentioned in the Champion Select, he landed some clutch ones last game.
Yeah, it's really explosive. I will say the Ash Arrow should be less effective against Kalista Thresh. I mean, even the Dark Bindings, if you catch one person, like if you're catching Thresh, Arrow should be able to ult him out, as long as they have good synergy and Shady stays in front, but they're not level 6 yet!
And there you go, exactly what you described. You try to go after one, the other will save them.
Yeah, and that's a lot burned, actually. Meteo's trying to get some counter jungling in, but does not have the support of his team and no Blast Cone to get out with, or Flash.
Elimination is here. He does repel, tries to get away from behind,
Flash.
but there's no arrow. If only there was an arrow to try to take him down here, but FlyQuest tried to go for the kill earlier instead. Ends up costing them the potential kill on Meteos there, who skritters his way away barely, as this farm-heavy game will still favor Phoenix1 by just a couple hundred gold. And CCS leads for them in the top lane and in the bottom lane. And I'm really curious as to where they're going to focus for both these teams, because you saw an attempt there in the mid lane, but what is Urgot's playmaking potential? What are we actually going to see from that? His ball is going to make a big TP. I just want to see where the first action really explodes at, the first kill, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have a lot of team fight starter abilities, and I do want to call out actually one good synergy for the team comp that you wouldn't really expect. They're mostly physical damage, right? Because the Lucian mid, Urgot, I think, is technically classified as a marksman. He's going to be going Black Cleaver on Urgot, and that's going to shred more than on almost any other champion. So Noxian Corrosive Charge, his E, actually has armor reduction in it as well, and ticks every quarter second. So if you land one E on someone with a Black Cleaver, you're reducing close to 30 or 40% of their armor just from that, because the E will reduce and the Black Cleaver will max stack almost instantly. So that will enable the Lucian and Kalista to do a lot more damage in the team fights, and is actually a reason why you could justify the Urgot pick.
Yeah, the Urgot pick Black Cleaver will help, but at the same time, you've also got to remember the tanky guys like Moon, even Balls, if he wants to build a little bit more or tankability, I should say, they can get armor, and it's very, very effective against triple AD comp, shredded or not. You're still going to be getting those extra points, that extra damage reduction. Still no kills. 9.5 minutes into the game, P1 continuing to build that lead up. Acid Hunter finds its way onto Balls, but the damage just not too crazy. Thunderlords makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, not using his Terra Capacitor much, trying to keep his mana up. Only 1 point in that ability. Hasn't even needed the shielding to keep up with Balls. Really out-trading him in most of these. Now trying to zone him off the way.
Just not letting him anywhere near it. And that's something that used to be a problem with Urgot, and I don't know if it still is. It probably is. People used to complain about his mana issues. You always used to see Mana Moons get built on him. Even in that game that you pulled up where Kikis played it, Mana Moon and Edge of Night, those were his two items.
Yeah, still has some mana problems. I mean, 55 mana for Noxian Corrosive Charge, 40 mana for Acid Hunter. So if you're going to do a full combo, which is usually a Noxian Corrosive Charge into 3 to 4 Acid Hunters, depending on your cooldown reduction, you're burning, 250 mana, and you have 630 in your entire pool. So he has to be very conservative with the way he uses spells.
Moon stealing away the enemy blue buff. Keep that denied away from either Meteos or Ryu, whoever wants to take it. That's another discussion that I had with Meteos the other day, was talking about how he really, really likes taking second blue on jungle.
That is something he had many conflicts with back in the Jensen days on Cloud9, or even in the high days. He thinks it's generally better. Luckily, we no longer have the Aegis debates. A lot of times supports will end up going for that as well. It's another item he really does not like having in the game, but he gets to do what he wants on this team. Looks like no one is going to be building an Aegis or a Locket unless Meteos really wants to.
No Tracker's Knife again, by the way, worth observing. It's Skirmisher's Saber this time, so Blue Smite into Red Smite. Ooh! Shockwave to stop the cone. Just a little bit short.
Yeah, High's starting to bully that lane a little bit. High's actually won lane against Ryu both games 1 and game 2. Victor and Nicasio, he was able to LCS and take the turret, and now Orianna into Lucian, keeping the Lucian at bay for most of the laning phase.
I think I want to bring up, too, the Infernal Drake, the first neutral objective available this game, just like last time. Last time you saw Phoenix1 go for a very, very early one, before 9 minutes even, as Balls is not having a good time with these Acid Hunters.
No, he is not. I believe you have to be about 1,100 units away to land it, so Balls doesn't want to give up the CS under his turret, force him into yet another recall. But even with that, the bottom lane for Phoenix1 recalls at a pretty bad time, and looks like FlyQuest can pretty easily just collapse down onto this Infernal Drake.
Phoenix1 wants to try to move in if they can. Moon's already got it secured, though. There's no way to catch up.
Yep, too slow. But Black Cleaver completed, for Zig. That's actually a pretty big power spike for the Urgot. Blade of the Rune Kings approaching for Phoenix1. When they get all of those items completed, I feel like that's almost the peak where they're going to be wanting to shoving a lot of lanes, and that's when it becomes more important that, you know, Zig might flash and use his hyperkinetic position reverser on someone to get the pick, and then they can go make a big play because they have so many marksmen to push down the turrets with.
Ooh, Ryu dashing in very aggressively onto high, getting some decent damage. The ball not going to find its way onto that Lucian there at the exit of the trade, meaning high will get the worst end of that one. Ryu, you love seeing Lucian players play aggressively. He's so flashy. He's got so much mobility.
And you kind of have to play aggressively on that pick. It's so volatile in the lane as well, because the reason we see people play it into Orianna, every time Orianna uses the command attack to move the ball, Lucian wants to dash under it. Because if you dash away, you're just getting pushed in all the time. You have to dash under it to go farther up in the lane, and that makes it so the junglers almost need to camp the lane, or at least be close. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Moon in that lane because of the way the matchup plays.
We're seeing Meteos hanging around now. Moon also taking a guzzle as he walks up, and if they try to make a dive here and they're not prepared for it, it could go badly. Flash into the cocoon attempt, the shockwave onto Ryu. As Meteos gets juggled around, has to block the aggro. Ryu's gonna be taken down, but first blood goes to Meteos, who's now trying to get himself out of the enemy jungle. A blast cone will help him on that escape, but it doesn't take him over the wall. Instead, Moon will continue the chase. Lands slow, Balls is coming in for the cleanup. Mop and Bucket at the ready. Can they actually find him? Thresh looking to make the lantern, but it will not happen. A big cornucopia of wards to block that click.
Yeah, Shady almost makes the roam over. Actually flashed in range, I believe, to try and get there, but super aggressive dive by Meteos and Ryu. Great reaction flash by High right over the wall at the start. As soon as he saw Meteos not letting that kill convert easily.
And he did get first blooded, but FlyQuest still definitely got the best of this one. If they got 2 for 1 and they're taking down the mid lane tier 1, that's turret first blood for them, that much more gold in their pockets. And just like game number 1, the first enemy objective will go to them. 1,000 gold up after grabbing that one. Shady wants to rotate mid, but I mean, Thresh hook into Black Shield. You're not getting much.
Yeah, High already at half health, flashes the cocoon right away. Moon then flashes to CC while the shockwave lands from High, so everything going well early. Ryu just takes so much damage. He knew after that shockwave they were kind of all in on this play, and it was either Meteos dies for 1 for 0, or they hope to get a 1 for 1. And then from there, trying to track how Meteos might have gotten away from this. Dodges the binding. Everyone just wards to make the lantern harder to click on, and he ends up just getting executed.
Did the job. Phoenix1 now down in gold compared to their opponents. They've got 1 less turret taken as well. 0 compared to 1.
Oh, this turret's going down, though.
Yep, let's dig in Meteos up there, and nobody nearby for FlyQuest. I mean, Balls could TP if he wanted, but he TP right into a 1v2. And remember that hyper-kinetic position reverser also gives Urgot bonus resistances, so it can be very effective at doing a dive.
We are learning so much about Urgot, who is, I believe, the next champion on the champion rework train. So all of this knowledge, it's going to literally be like a final exam in one of those college classes where you grind the knowledge and then you don't use it for the rest of your life.
Yep, didn't pay attention in class all semester, study real hard during the final week. As soon as the test is over, forget all of it.
Either way, oh, are they gonna, we're gonna see the first hyperkinetic position reverser, yep!
There it comes, suppression comes out, but Moon's still looking to get himself away somehow. High drops, Moon drops, and Phoenix1 finds himself 2 for nothing. Now, they're pushing on to the mid lane T1.
And they're going to demolish these turrets. 3 auto attackers right here. They could try and push for the next one if they really want to, or they just turn and get the Rift Herald for pretty much free.
Sounds like that's probably going to be the plan. Phoenix1 fight back, showing that they can control objectives and make plays as well. Now moving on to that Rift Herald, it's so easy to take down now compared to what it used to be as well. Old Rift Herald was very hard to solo for almost anyone that wasn't really fed, but new Rift Herald can be soloed easily, team taken even easier.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that the new Rift Herald feels like it has much higher moments when you get to see it slam into a turn and applies a bunch of pressure. We'll get back to that. I want to touch on this gank one more time. Ryu looking like he is looking to be picked off, and everyone on Phoenix1 just appears. The vision control not where it needs to be for FlyQuest. They thought they were alone in mid lane, but everyone on Phoenix1 had actually gotten to that point. Clear vision, that's the whole reason that pick worked. Now Elimination trying to do the same thing onto Arrow in the mid lane.
FlyQuest wants to make a move. The Spooky Ghost isn't going to see him.
The Sweeper does, though.
Yep, Sweeper's going to find out the trick.
Very sneaky by Shady. Still hasn't upgraded his Sweeper because he's not level 9 yet. And actually, in this case, it works to his benefit because he's able to cast it in the distance and get some glimpses of what can be inside that brush.
So 5% of the time that the baby Sweeper is better than the big one. But it worked out in their advantage this time around. FlyQuest continuing to move themselves into enemy territory. they've got 2 turrets down in that outer ring between middle and bot, so they feel safe, they feel comfortable pushing up deeper into this bottom jungle, trying to control this and catch Phoenix1 off guard.
Absolutely. Want to touch back on Rift Herald, though. I had a point earlier. I like the fact that because it's so much easier to take, I think it's the main reason we're actually seeing more of it. I think if the old Rift Herald was super easy to solo and didn't do that much damage, we would have seen it almost as much. But, ooh, arrow in the mid lane.
There's the QSS before even completing the first big item this time around, not having any more of those shenanigans.
Yeah, really early QSS. A lot more CC on the side of FlyQuest this time as well, aside from just the Ash Arrow. Everything else changed into it. Everyone kind of grouped up in the mid lane. Zig does have flash if he wants to try and get a hyperkinetic position reverser off.
One thing to remember too, Moon has a lot of targets for his ulti, but it's actually going to be Hai, who's sucked into the middle of the fight. The stun comes out onto Zig, who's taken low and going to be taken down. More damage now being poured into Shady. Hai still somehow alive as Ryu and Meteos have found themselves on the wrong side of the river, and they're being chased down by a fat man with a vengeance. Double kill from Moon, and Phoenix1 is sent running, tail between their legs.
That fight went horribly wrong for Phoenix1. 3 for 0 in a fight they engaged. We'll have to see it again and how well FlyQuest disrupted it. They have a lot of AoE ultimates on their side versus Phoenix1 with the auto attackers. Takes a little bit longer to layer in their damage, so unless they get a clean pick at the start, they're not going to win. And they did have some control of this game, but I feel like they just lost it with that engage.
Plus, they lose the mid lane tier 2 and the Infernal Drake. Disaster for Phoenix1.
Yeah, Zig wants to pull off the flash hyperkinetic position reverser, but he goes in to get Hai, and I believe since they don't instantly kill him, he still gets the shockwave off, knows where he has his ball, pulls it back to him, gets Zig in the shockwave, then Balls goes in and gets a double stun, so when Shady is thrown in, he gets nothing off pretty much aside from the box and the flay onto Balls, and by that point, Hai's already layered a shockwave, Balls has almost killed everyone with Cannon, and Phoenix1 just couldn't get through the zoning of those abilities on top of Gragas Ultimate to get anything done off of the Urgot hyperkinetic position reverser.
That's the point I was going to make as the fight broke out. Moon's got so many good targets for casks. This is a tankless team from Phoenix1. You got 3 marksmen, you got an Elise. I mean, yeah, Thresh is sort of a tank, but he's a support. He doesn't have the economy to really be tanky compared to what's coming at him from FlyQuest.
Yeah, I think Zig is meant to be the tank on this one because he gets all of the resistances from his hyperkinetic position reverser. I'm getting tired of the game that I created right here saying skill every single time.
You did this to us.
But I'm going to continue doing it anyway. I was expecting him to go Black Cleaver and then tankier because that is actually great if you shift in as a 200 armor MR, 3,000 health Urgot, and you're still going to do a decent amount of damage with the Black Cleaver, but it looks like he's going the direction of maybe even a Death Stance at this point.
Well, that will heal you based on the Acid Hunters as well. You end up getting a lot of extra vamp, a lot of extra surprise sustainability when you get yourself into those fights. Plus lifesteal, when you have a low health pool, it's proportionally stronger than if you had a high health pool. So just getting those resistances, like you said, instead having all that lifesteal to go with it can make him very deceptively hard to kill, as FlyQuest will work on their 4th turret of the game. Ryu doesn't really want to go this close to Hai.
No, he's got to respect the shockwave at this point. No magic resist built up on him. No extra shields or redemptions coming through anytime soon either. FlyQuest kind of taking control of vision on this top side of the map. Ryu cheekily clearing the ward. Shady wants to check this brush, but almost waiting for arrows, so he has a Fate's Call to save him if he goes for it. That turret probably dead.
Yep. They'll scare Ryu off, not even concerned about trying to make some kind of a pick onto him. They came for the turret. That's what they got. FlyQuest gets themselves up to a 2,500 gold lead with 2 Infernal Drakes under the belt as well, so some hidden gold advantage in the raw stats being given over by those Drakes. But now, the question will remain the same as it was in game number 1. Can the FlyQuest early game success machine avoid getting derailed in the mid game?
Yeah, double Infernal Drake helps a lot when they have the double marksman with the cannon top as well as the Orianna mid. So good Drake spawns for them early, something Phoenix1 wasn't able to shove up the lanes and contest. So, I mean, signs are pointing towards yes with the way that last team fight went, unless Phoenix1 changes their strategy or actually get picks instead of just going for brute force initiations in 5v5. Pretty disappointed actually in, Meteos, Shady, Zig, Arrow, all these guys that actually have playmaking potential but haven't forced any skirmishes. Right. Because that's where I feel like the Kalista, Lucian, Elise, and even Urgot shine is in the 1v1 and the 2v2 and the 3v3, not in the 5v5. But that's where they forced. Exactly.
You have to deal with those big CC AoE ultimates, and everybody on the team is some derivative of a marksman almost. got a real issue trying to find who can actually go in, who can keep themselves within threat range without being instantly deleted. And with FlyQuest now having the biggest advantage they've had so far, I believe, it's that much harder than ever. Shady, again, just trying to clear some of the vision out, but as we mentioned, FlyQuest with 4 turrets down from their opponents means they're comfortable pushing up, trying to get those wards down, as long as they're confident they can take a fight.
Yeah, absolutely, and I also really love the Frozen Heart on Moon against 3 auto attackers, rushing that item right after Cinderhulk. So just going full tank Gragas because he knows he needs to be a tank threat, but they're going for a fight here.
QSS was used by Arrow, actually, even though it didn't accomplish much of anything. Elimination and High coming in from the side. Shady's going to be knocked back, and he is down. Wild Turtle grabbing the kill on that one as Zig tries to get himself away. Ball's going to be popping the ulti. They slow him down. They burst him out. He's pretty tanky, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. A nice shockwave finds Meteos 2. Phoenix1 has not found anything from this. Ryu's going to be chased down, and it's 4-for-0 FlyQuest.
Absolutely destroyed once again. FlyQuest so much stronger in team fights, and I think Phoenix1 was hoping to catch a skirmish right there, but did not have the requisite vision to make sure of it. So when they did go in for that initiation, FlyQuest was immediately there to capitalize and get the team fight.
And now Baron goes the way of FlyQuest. Phoenix1 not prepared for that one, and the punishment is the big purple push machine going over to FlyQuest. Now, this is their opportunity to take this game from favorable to unwinnable for Phoenix1.
Absolutely. Watching this one more time as well. Arrow wants to go for Wild Turtle, pops the Fate's Call. Ash Arrow goes away. Arrow's like, need a QSS anyway, but they just don't have any damage follow-up. Like, where is it really going to be coming from? It has to be Meteos, Ryu, and Arrow all kind of bursting the same target, but they can't get through Moon's ultimate. He's knocking people back. The Ash Arrow's delaying. Then Balls gets a black shield as soon as he ults in. They're not going to CC him out of the stun, and they don't have the damage since everyone's dead already. These fights are just disastrous for Phoenix1.
You mentioned the Frozen Heart just moments ago, Jat, and that item has been doing a lot of work. Lantern thrown out, but he's stunned up for such a long time.
Oh.
High grabs the killing spree right before the CC would expire. Shady, a real sad thresh about that one as the mid lane inhibitor turret is quickly destroyed. Mid lane inhibitor will shortly follow. It's 30 seconds until it's 5v5 again.
I wonder if they try and end right here. Meteos was seen on a ward in the mid lane, so they know this is 5v3, especially if they get this
Arrow
kill.
shot, he's done. That's going to be GG. Meteos is still back in mid lane. They're chasing down the rest of Phoenix1. And FlyQuest will cement their first series win of summer 2017 in tremendous style. 24 minutes into the game, they're taking down the Nexus turrets. Only one remains. Make it 0 in just a moment. Meteos going to be killed on the steps to the fountain. And FlyQuest finds their 2-0 and reduces Phoenix1 to the only team left without a match win.
Yeah, FlyQuest did not get them in the 3rd or 4th place match, but they do get them today and put them into the cellar of the North American LCS. Phoenix1 now alone in 10th place. Pulled out the Urgot. Even that couldn't save them.
FlyQuest Vengeance is a dish best served cold. They lose in Vancouver, they come back here and put Phoenix1 in the spot that nobody wants to find themselves in after the first couple of weeks of summer split play. And once again, everybody on FlyQuest did their job. They had superior team fighting, they had a better team composition, and just the control over the fights exerted by Balls and High and Moon was too much.
Yeah, they never allowed the surprise factor of the Urgot Lucian triple marksman thing surprise them. Balls never let him get a kill in lane. He was very conservative to not let the Elise Urgot snowball on them. Every time Phoenix1 tried to go for a pick with the Urgot, FlyQuest was there faster, so they had good vision control aside from that one time they got picked off in the mid lane. Pretty marked improvement by FlyQuest from their Immortal set to their set today to pick up their first win of the season.
We talked about Phoenix1's composition being risky, being very unorthodox, and you can't fault them for trying something different in the face of a potential defeat. They wanted to mix it up a little bit, see if that surprise factor would work, but like you mentioned, it seems like this team just needs to work on the basics, the fundamentals, and get back to looking like that 3rd place team that we saw in spring.
Yeah, and it's going to be tricky, right? Because the players that they found success with, the supports, aren't on the team anymore, right? Like, they won so many games with Stun. They actually won a bunch of games with Adrian before it seemed like he got into some feud with Inori, who, by the way, isn't playing anymore either, in this week at least, because Meteos played the last 3 games. The Phoenix1 team has a lot of searching to do, and maybe we see more roster changes. This bottom lane is not working, and the fault can't all go to Shady. I mean, he is a player who actually has a pretty resoundingly losing record on Phoenix1, despite them being generally a winning team, but Arrow's not playing well in these games either. I mean, he's face-checking brushes, he's getting picked off, he's QSSing the air in some of these fights. So a lot of work to do for Phoenix1 and a really surprisingly poor start for them in the split.
And that's so surprising. You talk about Arrow, and for any AD carry, you would be disappointed for them if they started off not being able to have the presence and the pressure that they want in the game. But for Arrow, our spring split MVP, astonishing that he's just not being able to put up the numbers and the performances that his team needs. They really need to figure out how to enable him.
Yeah, I mean, the dude excelled last split with the support of AD carries because he was so reliable and always in the right spot. But he's in the wrong spot more often than not, and it was FlyQuest who really exposed that in this game. They consistently found the picks and the fights onto Phoenix1.
Well, for more on their first win, we're going to go ahead and hyperkinetic position reverse over to Pastry Time and Fly's mid laner.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Hai of FlyQuest. First of all, Hai, how you guys feeling after picking up a series win?
I feel like I should feel better than I do, but I don't feel that great. Like, we won, but I felt like we didn't play that well, you know? And I feel like we're trying to improve upon that as a team, and we're making these mistakes that we make in scrims on stage, and it's just kind of frustrating, I guess, even though we won. Like, we have a long way to go.
And I guess, yeah, it has been tough for FlyQuest at the start of the season. Kind of what do you feel like are the other problems right now for the team?
Well, I don't think we have an hour to talk about that. So there's a lot of things going wrong. We know what's wrong, though, so we're working at it. Like, we have a list of things we need to do, and it's taking it, like, step by step. It's just not going that fast.
Well, fair enough, and it can be tough, but thankfully it is a relatively long split. Of course, FlyQuest had so much success in the spring split, which was surprising to a lot. But you guys, you finished top 4 last time. It feels like the improvement is there. You guys feel like FlyQuest can kind of pick things up in the next few weeks.
Right. I mean, I think we'll bounce back. We're still trying to, like, you know, we're going through the motions of working with a new AD carry, and he definitely plays a little bit different than my old AD carry. So, like, we're trying to, like, you know, work on everything. And it's just the beginning of the split, so we have a long way to go until the end of the split. And hopefully we can get back to playoffs and, you know, take first or something.
All right, well, thank you so much, Hai, for the interview. Best of luck with the rest of the weeks. But we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to wrap up the series.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Great interview on the day and great to the cast as well, of course, in this one. Let's talk about team comps, because this was interesting. There is an Urgot top, and it wasn't from FlyQuest. Phoenix1 bring it out for Zig. Looks like a very win-lane-win game. Triple marksman, no frontline.
I don't know if it's worth calling P1's thing a team comp, because it's pretty much just pick for yourself. Like, the Urgot top is something I'm actually excited about as a counter to Kennen, and you can make it work in a different situation where, like, let's say I take Galio early, you try and counter me with Kennen, I flex that to mid, now I have another marksman top and a tank mid with AP damage. That makes a lot of sense. This time they round out their comp with a Lucian and just end up with, like you said, 3 marksmen, no frontline, no utility, no CC really. It's just.
I mean, so to be fair, they have some CC in it.
They have Cocoon, they have either guy.
Yeah, they do. No, I said.
Okay, I'm wrong about stuff, but we're gonna move on.
No, I just shush you.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like,
you
you don't have anyone who ever wants to walk forward in a team fight and actually want to provide a front line. So, yes, you're right. They have CC. It's just not the kind of CC that's going to lock someone down. You're going to sit and zone a backline with it. It's purely pick-off potential.
So what I liked about Freak's point there is that it does have a win condition, right? And
yes,
the win condition
absolutely.
is win lane, you know, win early, because this is a very early game oriented composition. To your point, like, and it doesn't have really much fallback, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a tank, as you're saying, you don't have these tanks to fall back on. You don't have, you know, a lot of those other options. So I do agree with you. In the end, it's just that there is technically a winning condition there for this type of composition, but that requires a lot of coordination. And coordination is something we didn't see too much of in that game.
Yeah. And there's oftentimes when you do run these kind of like win lane, win game comps, they often have some other synergies that still work together. This is something that even if you do get ahead in the laning phase, your execution barrier is still pretty high come the mid and late game if you're not literally stomping.
Yeah.
All right, well, we can see how it actually played out when they weren't literally or figuratively stomping in the game. We can watch this 18-minute team fight where everyone gets blown up really quickly by Shockwave and stuff.
Yeah, High gets taken down very low, but this is where no one really is excited to walk forward and try and finish High off. You have no divers, no backline, and once High is able to get out, he is totally safe, and then the rest of the team is extremely squishy, getting chased down by the front line of Moon. And like you said, High, decent Shockwave to pull the Urgot off of him, put him a little bit further back, and the team blew him up. And there you see, you know, P1 did have a small lead in the
18
early
minutes
game.
of being close to winning.
They won the lanes.
But not by nearly enough to win the game, right? You want to be up a couple thousand at that point.
And this season is looking, or this split is looking pretty scary for Phoenix1.
Yeah.
If we take everything into consideration, coming from 3rd place and dropping all the way down to 10th place, and doing it without, you know, much saving grace, right? Sometimes when teams lose and you start out 0-4, you're like, okay,
yeah,
well,
but they were close.
Exactly. The games were close, or you had a really hard schedule, or, you know, XXX reasons to still be hopeful for this team.
Yeah.
But
they lost to 0-3 FlyQuest.
It's full on panic mode right now, I think, for Phoenix1 fans. And it's kind of difficult, to pick apart without knowing, internal communications or relationships that are going on under there, because on paper, the players should still be able to perform.
What's nice to see, though, is a 0-4 Phoenix1 will still be good enough to beat Europe at the midseason, not midseason, at Rift Rivals. Don't worry, NA, I believe in you. Either way, player of the game is going to go to High from Fly. I am Fly. It's going to be rough for them. No, but honestly, High, player of the game, did very well on the Orianna, certainly deserving of the honors. And he said that the FlyQuest practice, they're still trying to improve. They're not happy how they're playing just yet, but there are still 7 regular season split weeks. There we go, to go. And I think they